I'm Josh Farley, president of Redline Electric and Solar. Join me as we talk to contractors, business owners, and experts who are willing to share their experiences to help you overcome obstacles when you're taking your business up and to the right. Hey, thanks for watching. Today we're with Chad Ridenour. He's the president of It On Elelctric. Today we're a little competition rivalry here where we're both in our electrician shirts, our electrical company shirts, and unfortunately, we didn't get in the studio. We're in my office. Chad, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell people what you do and who you do it for?
So I am the owner of It On Elelctric. We are we're an electrical contracting company. I've been in business for about 8 years now, and we are just really trying to do it right with a great group of guys and for a great list of customers and just try to do the right thing for the right reasons.
So what's your main focus of your business?
So we've got two divisions. We've got a service division, which is both commercial and residential, and we've also got a commercial construction division. We don't build houses, we don't build condos, we don't build apartment complexes, but we'll build anything else that we can handle size-wise, and then we do a lot of service.
Commercial ground up?
Commercial ground ups, yep.
Are those, let me ask you, are those guys that do the commercial ground up and your service guys, are they on a different pay scale? How do you keep those two separate? Because I found in my business running service, it's hard to have the guys that know everything compete in that space.
So you definitely have a different technician from a service technician to a construction foreman. There's a different mentality there.
Right.
And for the service technician, they're the guys that like to solve problems and like to get in and get out and get in and get out. And then you've got the construction foreman that they really like to, they're better managers and leaders because they've got a crew generally behind them. And they're much more organized in the sense that they can get to a job, and they're there anywhere from a few weeks to even a few months.
Right.
And so it's definitely a different mentality. I've got a few guys that can do both, but they're definitely two different people.
I couldn't do it. I started in service. My dad was a service electrician, and I worked through service. And then I'm like, I got to cut my teeth at new construction. I did that for a couple of years, but going to the same place every day drove me insane. So
Yes.
I'm a service guy. That's what I base my business around. So who'd you work for? How did you, what was the last straw before you're like, I'm going to just do this myself?
It's interesting because I'm gonna go backwards a little bit. So I worked for KSK Electric years ago. And Kenny Farmer owned the company, and he came in one day after I was hired, and he sits in my office, and he tells me, he's like, so we're going to go have a drink. I'm like, okay, owner of the company wants to go have a drink, I'm going to go have a drink.
Right.
So we go, and he gets me a drink.
To be honest, anybody asks you to go have a drink, you're going to probably go.
Yes.
In case you want to have a drink.
And so we sit there, and he gives me a couple of drinks, and he looks me dead in the eye, and he's like, so you want me to teach you how to build an electrical contracting company so you could run by yourself or what? And I'm like, I do not ever want to start a company. The first 2 to 5 years is horrible. You miss your family. You're either working or you're napping. If you get a chance to nap at all, I mean, it's so much pain and stress. I wanted to grow into taking over a company ultimately. I wanted to earn my spot. I wanted to put in my dues, and I wanted to ultimately take over for the owner, the president, or something like that to get to that location, to get to that part. I went to college. I got my degree in business management, business marketing. I mean, I did all the right things the right way. And then 8 years later, market was going in the dumps, and the company that I was working for, I was pretty sure was going to close their local division. And I was just like, I really wanted to find somebody that I wanted to go work for and again, take that spot, but everything was kind of going the wrong way. And I had a certain level of life with my family that we had come accustomed to that was going out the window because everything was going the wrong direction. So I'm like, we're basically down to ground zero anyway. I'm just going to do this myself. And we held a garage sale. I scrounged up every single penny that we possibly could. My wife and I came together on it. I still remember sitting across the dinner table, and we reached across and we held hands and we're like, let's do this. And actually did a speech the other day, and it was Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
And it was a Toastmasters. What do they call them? Anyway, it was the Yoda. Do or do not, there is no try. And that was my do or do not, there is no try moment.
Isn't that crazy?
It was and I didn't look back. And the first 2.5 years I was sleeping was napping or I was working. I had an appendectomy in there somewhere.
Right.
And we lost our
But
house.
there's no full night's sleep. You lost your house?
Well, that was kind of part of the whole process. We were in
Right.
the process of losing our house. I mean, we were literally at rock bottom,
How
ground
long
zero.
ago was this?
2010.
Oh,
January
so
of
it was
2010.
You're like right when it hit bottom and it stayed there for a while. You're like, there's no place to go but up, right?
Well, and it was great because I had the opportunity. I had built a list of customers.
Yep.
And I had the opportunity to go to all of my customers and say, hey, I'm going to go out on my own. I would love the opportunity to bid some of your work. And I had some of the best comments come back to me because I had a lot of my customers look at me. They're like, dude, you're our electrician. We don't care where you go.
Right.
Like, it's about time. I heard that a couple of times. And it just blew my mind because I'm like, what do you mean it's about time? What are you seeing that I didn't?
Right. And why didn't you tell me?
Yeah. And so, and it was great. And so we went out and I bought a pickup truck and I got a contractor's license and we opened our doors and I haven't had a chance to look back.
Right.
So it's been a ride.
That's awesome. So that was the turn point. So let's talk about the struggles and how you got, like, what were some of the biggest struggles that you were dealing with when you first started?
When I first started, everything was a struggle, and again, I did it all right. I went to college, I got the degree. I had been in a management.
Did you do that before? I mean,
I had my degree was in 2007,
Gotcha.
so I started the business in 2010. So I had the degree, I had experience as a project manager and an estimator. I had experience as an electrician. I think I was in the trade 14 years by that point. I had a couple of engineers that I talked to, so any technical, anything that I didn't understand, they did, and they could help me. And then it was the business side of it. So the technical side of it, and the thing that you hear about all the time, I was the technician that decided to start my own business, and there was the whole business side of it that I thought I understood it. But when you're out and you're buying material and you're paying for your labor and you're seeing your own bank account go whoop,
Right.
it's emotional and
sure.
It's crazy and it's I remember telling my family and friends, I'm like, I've never had more money in my bank account and so nervous about it ever, because you get an influx of money and then Friday you write checks and it drops out, and it's managing the money and managing the business side and the accounting side of things was something that I intuitively kind of knew about, but doing it and knowing it are two very, very different things.
And that's what that's what you went to school for, was business management. So that puts you almost ahead of 90% of contractors out there.
I thought so.
I think so. Still probably true. Most guys, they're in the trade for 20 years or 10, 15 years before they start their own business. Why go back to school at that point?
Right.
So tell us some tips and tricks. What do you do to, let's see, do you use any software?
So we use, it's an estimating software, EBM with Vision. I found it to be fairly inexpensive and it does the job. And then just QuickBooks. Everybody starts with QuickBooks, I think, if they do accounting. It was one of the things that I definitely did want to do is from day one make sure that we were as squeaky as possible.
Right.
Anybody can come into the business, and I'm sure there's some clerical things that we're going to get slapped on the wrist for or slapped on the hand for because we missed. But we use QuickBooks, and we really just try to make a point to keep everything tight and right. And if it's not right, we're not going to be involved.
Got it. What do you do to raise the value of business?
I think service, and I think a lot of service is lost. And we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And I believe that listening to your customer and listening to what's important to them is super important. And I believe that my employees are my biggest customer.
Right.
Because if you've got great employees, and if you've got employees that really, really care about what they're doing and making sure that the company is solid, everything else falls into place. And
how do you keep your customer? How do you keep your employees happy? What do you do?
I listen and I just talk to them, and it's my door is always open. I've got the open door policy, so my employees will come in and they'll tell me the most random things at time, and I'm intent in the middle of a bid, or I'm trying to find some parts or something like that, and I get an employee that walks in my office, and you got to stop. You got to stop, and you got to hey, how you doing? What's going on? And let them talk. Let them say whatever it is that they're going to say, and that's how they feel connected to me. That's how they feel connected to the company. And let's face it, the company's way bigger than me. The company is who we as an employee body are. And I say we a lot because I believe that. I feel like it is we. It is us. It's our team.
So you build your culture.
Yeah.
You've built your culture. You've built your culture. What about your core values?
So our core values we're actually getting to work through. You know, I pushed so hard on trying to build the company and trying to just get the business functional and get out of that hole that I was in from the beginning. And we did great for a while. We backpedaled a little bit, like I think we all do. And then we're doing well again. And right now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to cut all the stuff out that we're not good at.
Right.
And, you know, you start a company and you're like, we're going to do everything for everybody. And if it's electrical, we're going to do it. And we got into some stuff that we shouldn't have gotten into. And it cost me some money.
Right.
And I learned a lot. But it's really now it's really, I've got a core group of guys and a couple girls in the office. I've got a core group of people that we're really just trying to take that and say, okay, what are we? What are we really right now? Because we're not Chad anymore. We're Turning On Electric.
Right.
And, you know, who are we? What are we? And what are we going to be really, really good at? And that's kind of the point where we're at right now. What are our core values? Because I know what I want. And mind you, our core values are definitely going to be in line with that. But again, we're bigger than me.
Right.
And it's humbling. It's very humbling. It's fun.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're providing a living wage for these people in the community. What systems and processes do you have in place, and how are they documented?
So we use a couple of online apps. We use Trello for keeping track of construction documents.
Trello's great. Yeah, we use it too.
Do you? It's really awesome. And then we use for our service work order management, we use Repair Shopper. And it's a great work order management tool. Nothing's perfect because we're taking a cookie cutter something off of the shelf and we're making it work.
Right.
But compared to what we were doing and what we are doing now, leaps and bounds different. I mean, we've cut out probably 4 layers of redundancy just by going into some of these systems. And they're great because I got iPads, the guys have iPhones.
Right.
We track their location. Everybody knows where they're at. They check in, they check out. Our customers get their invoices very, very quickly, and it really helps to streamline the process immensely.
What is that called again?
Repair Shopper.
Okay.
And Shopper is SHOPR.
I'll have to take a look at it. We use Jobber. But I'm always looking for the next better thing that can take my business to the next level.
We were looking at Jobber and we were looking at Repair Shopper, and it was we leaned a little bit more towards Repair Shopper, partially because our IT guy uses Repair Shopper.
Gotcha.
And so he knows that software really, really, really well.
Right.
So we're like, yeah, we're going with that.
Well, you had support in-house.
Yes.
Right,
yes.
for sure. Let's see, do you have a specific niche that you like to stay in?
You know, I love the industrial niche, and it's, you know, we do a little of everything. We do commercial, we do residential. I like the industrial stuff because it's challenging. It gets a little bit more complicated. We'll do some medical, of course, too.
Right.
But anything that we can do that challenges me. I mean, as an entrepreneur, you know, you get bored easy.
For sure.
And boredom is painful and expensive. So whenever we get an opportunity to jump into a challenge for our customers, and really, you know, give me something that nobody wants to do, that nobody can do, or that really just needs to get done in a certain way. And that's the kind of thing that I absolutely love. And industrial gives me a better opportunity to do that.
Do you think Arizona should have a license for industrial work?
You know, I believe that we should be training our electricians. I don't know if they should necessarily have a license, a separate license for industrial.
I mean, because right now Arizona's got commercial residential. There's not really an industrial feeling, but I mean, there are some things there that are night and day from a standard commercial service.
100%, hands down. I think that, I don't know, it's a good question. I think that there's definitely some things that, like you said, that are definitely industrial, but there's a lot of the industrial jobs that we do that have a commercial component to them.
Right.
And, I don't know. It's a good question. I would have to think about that one. But yeah, I mean, I think that there should be somehow, some way to differentiate those industrial electricians, because we've had to clean up some messes from some people that unfortunately didn't know what they were doing, and those messes get expensive really fast.
Right. As an electrician, what's your favorite tool?
My favorite tool, screwdriver. I mean, it's everybody has a
Dikes.
screwdriver, right? Yeah, those are fun. But you know, the screwdriver, you can throw that thing in your pocket. You can do just about anything.
Right.
You can cut wire with a
Dikes in
screwdriver.
a tin in one. You're like you're golden.
Done. You're gold. Just back pockets and you're good.
Right. What do you think contractors can do better?
You know, work together. You know, I think there's a lot of that, you know, and I think this is a great example. You've got 2 competing electricians, right? Phoenix is a big town. And the United States and the globe is a big place to work in, and there's a lot of things that we could work together on with high integrity to bring a better service to the market and train our guys.
Right.
I love the idea of putting some training behind them. Maybe licensing, maybe certifying something, but working through IECA here locally. And really trying to train the guys and just make better, more talented individuals. There's been this huge push, and everybody sees it. Don't go work with your hands. Go to school, get a degree, and do your thing. I got one. I got a degree, and I work with my hands, and I love it.
Right.
And I know how things work, and I don't have to. When my air conditioner breaks, I throw a ladder up on the house, and I get up on the roof and figure it out. And I think there's a big piece of that that's missing. And I think that training, and I think that providing that opportunity to people that inherently work with their hands and they've got that mechanical know-how, I think that we as a contractor body could do better at training people, training guys to come up and be better technicians.
Right. Well, it's definitely, there's a lack of tradesmen, and it's because society pushes us all towards college, where you have to pay for an education, when you can come work for companies like us and get paid for an education.
Right.
So it's a big difference.
Right.
You ever think about quitting?
I've had some bad days. No, not really. It's and I thought about, as a business owner, do you build the business to sell it? And that's a business model. Or do you build the business for a lifestyle business? And I'd say I'm kind of somewhere in that middle there.
Right.
I built this business so that I could put something together with my hands. I'm a builder. I like to build things. I like to see the results of my labors. And I think that I've put so much into this. It would have to be a pretty darn big check for me to get out of this. Or a big failure, touche.
Right.
But which is a possibility. Hopefully not.
Right. It's either sell or go out of business. Those are the only options for entrepreneurs, right?
Totally is.
What do you do? What do you do to better yourself as a business owner? So when I always say I was masquerading as a business owner. What do you do to better yourself, to give better opportunity for yourself and your employees?
I believe that as the business owner, that I need to be growing faster than my business. I need to be growing 10x faster than my business is, because if I get to a certain point and now the business has grown past my capability, then I'm gonna fail. Right. I'm gonna get to that point. So I have mentors that I talk to monthly. I have mentors that I can call on the phone. I've got the Entrepreneurs Organization, which I belong to, which is a phenomenal organization.
Yep, me too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's where we've connected. Right here.
Yep.
And it's a phenomenal organization full of a bunch of people doing sometimes similar, but sometimes vastly different things.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we deal with very similar problems. And it's employees, it's cash, it's familial issues, it's all the head trash and the head games that happen.
Right.
And it's really just surrounding myself with people that have been there, that have done that, and like-minded people. They say that you are the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most of your time with. And I'm constantly making sure that I surround myself with just amazing human beings.
That's interesting. I don't even know who the 5 people are. I'm going to have to look into that. And then I might have to change a couple people to make myself better.
Let me know if I make the cut.
Right. Let's see. If you didn't do this, what would you do?
I have no idea.
What keeps you up at night?
Payroll.
Yeah.
No, what keeps me up at night, it's failure. I think that failure it's something that's omnipresent in business. It's something that touches me every day.
Right.
And it's always an opportunity. And you get into situations where, we just had one a few weeks ago where I thought, I was like, wow. I mean, if 2 more knobs turn, like, I'm done, I'm out, I'm finished. And then 48 hours later, everything was fine. Everything worked itself out, And I say it worked itself out. It was not by, a lot of pressure and a lot of work and hard work and blood, sweat, and tears by me and my team and my vendors and my customers. And it's those things that I don't know about. 8 years ago when I started the business, there were there were so many things that kept me up at like, oh my God, I get to get this bid in. If I don't get this bid in, I'm not going to get that work. And I can't say that doesn't happen today.
Sure.
But I know I'm going to get that bid in because I've done it a million times now.
Right.
So, then it was payroll for a while, and I didn't know if I was going to make payroll, and it was cash flow, and how do I manage this crazy thing called cash flow? And on and on. It's the new challenge, it's the new opportunity that presents itself.
I don't have enough fingers to count how many times I didn't pay myself.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't there.
Or toes for that matter.
Right.
Combined.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's times I'll go months without taking a check because at certain times in my business, it just wasn't there. And you're at the mercy of your customers giving the checks, and you got to make sure you pay your guys because they're going to find another job.
I think one of the things that we don't as a society value enough is failure. And I mean, yeah, it's the thing that keeps me up at night. But you know what? That's the thing that I think teaches me the most.
Right.
I believe wholeheartedly that we learn the most from our failures than we do from our successes. Because our successes are like, yay, next.
Right.
Right? It's you do a bid, you win the bid, and okay, now let's do the bid.
Right.
Well, you didn't celebrate winning the bid. You didn't celebrate figuring out how to do that job well. You didn't celebrate those things. But it's the failures that you dwell on and you feel and you stress about, and it keeps you up at night, and you're sitting at the dinner table and your kids and your family are trying to talk to you, and you're like, man, you're somewhere else. You're somewhere
Right.
gone. But it's the failure that I think that it really is the thing that truly we learn from. We learn from those failures, and the trick is getting back up one more time.
Right.
And every time you get knocked down, it's just pushing yourself back up.
Anything come to mind?
Back in 2015, there was a culmination of we did some jobs wrong. I had some employees.
What do you mean wrong? Like your guys didn't do the jobs correct, or it was under margin, or
all of that?
Right.
All of that. I mean, it wasn't one, and it wasn't any one.
It's a culmination.
It was a culmination of. It was kind of the perfect storm, and they say the perfect storm is 3 things coming together. This was about 15.
Wow.
And it was. I don't think I slept for about a week, and it was stressful. I thought I was done. I thought I was going to lose the business, and I actually had a customer step to the table, and they helped me out.
Wow.
And it was a newer customer that I really didn't even know. But I chose to make a phone call to him before the lawyers and everybody got involved. And we just had a man-to-man conversation, and I laid my cards out on the table, and I said, this is what I've got. This is what's going on. I want to get you squared up, but I can't right now. I will work tirelessly to get you squared up. But if we go down this road, it's really just the lawyers are going to make out on this. You and I are going to get screwed on this. And it was an unfortunate fact. And he said, all right, let me talk to the board and I'll get back to you. And he called me about 2 days later and said, okay, we'll do it. We'll figure it out.
I mean, businesses are ran by human beings. I mean, we all have the ability to communicate. When things go wrong, people inherently, society thinks that this organization has tons of money and it's real quick to just, hey, you know what, I'm going to take you to court. But I mean, we're small, like we don't have a ton of money in the bank. Like it could be one lawsuit that puts us under.
Right.
And that's why 50% or 90% of business, I don't even remember, go out of business in the first 5 years. I mean, it's something huge to be able to make the call. And that's why we develop relationships.
Right.
And you have to have those relationships to continue and thrive.
Well, and it was great because it was through a lot of the other entrepreneurs that I was surrounding myself with that I was sharing my heartache and my struggles, and like, man, I'm done. I think I'm done here. And it was one of the most awkward moments I've ever had, where I was sitting at a table, and I think there was 7 other entrepreneurs at the table, and they didn't laugh at me, right? They weren't disrespectful in any way, shape, or form, but they kind of looked at me and they're like, yeah, I've been there.
Right.
Like, huh? What are you talking about? Like, and he's been there, and he's been there, and he's been there, and he's been there, and it blew my mind that this wasn't necessarily normal, but it was part of the path. And because of their experience sharing, I made a couple of phone calls, the one that I spoke about being one of the key ones, and we survived and we got through it, and I think we're a better company for it.
What do you think? So now that you've learned from those mistakes, what do you think you put in place to prevent that from happening? Was it Was it a management issue?
Well, again, it was the culmination
Right.
of about 15 different things, right? So
A couple tips for people watching.
is every single check you get in, put something in a rainy day fund.
Right.
And as soon as you can have the opportunity to qualify for a line of credit or a credit card or something like that, get it. Don't use it,
Right.
but get it.
And when you need a line of credit, it's not the time to be asking for
No.
it. When you don't need it, that's the time to look for it.
Well, back into the whole identify the failures, and then you've got your successes, right? It's when you're being the most successful, that is the time to say, okay, wait a minute, let's plan for a rainy day.
Right.
That's the time to sign your operating agreement with your partner. That's the time to make sure that you've got a couple of loans in place or what have you. But again, don't use them. And there's a difference between debt and leverage, and you can get into the whole debt and leverage thing. But it's when you've got debt, that's a bad thing. But when you're using money for leverage to grow, that's another thing. But again,
Right.
you've always got to have that rainy day fund, because here's the thing: you and I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, none whatsoever.
100%.
And I know that something's going to come up that I didn't plan for. So if I don't have something in reserves to make that work out and figure out, then I'm screwed. And that's the times when you pull your chonies up and you step up and you figure it out. But having that savings account, having that rainy day fund and that credit, when things were going south here over the last couple of years after 2015, and by the way, we did make that guy square. But
Good.
We've had I've had some cash in the bank, so I knew that I was in for a problem. But I had a savings account,
Right.
and it was a couple of payrolls, and then I had a credit card that was a payroll, and then I had a line of credit that was a little bit more, and so I had a few layers of protection, basically cash, that if I needed to tap it, I could, and we had to tap a little bit of it here and there. But that is what got me to sleep at night,
Right.
and being able to sleep at night and being able to have a clear head and not be clouded by emotions has been absolutely huge, because now I'm not stressing about this ominous thing that's going to come and get me. It's what's
Right.
the right way to handle this.
Right.
And I think with that, we've been able to really navigate and make some much, much better decisions.
So Dave Ramsey talks about that. Profit First is a
Yep.
good book. They talk about taking profit first, putting a little aside in a bank account. We do that. We practice it, and it does take so much pressure off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Chad, thanks for coming in. How do they get a hold of you if they ever want to take you out for that drink?
Well, if you want to get a hold of me, my email address is chad@turnitonellectric.com. Our number is 602-453-4288. And I'd love to have the opportunity to meet with anybody and help anybody out that wants to help themselves. And I think like I said, I think the greatest thing that we could provide each other as entrepreneurs and as contractors is just let's work together. The world is
Amen.
far too small to not.
For sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you like what we're doing here, subscribe to our podcast at iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher, and to our YouTube channel to see more episodes. Go to upandtothe right.org to get all the links.